the key changes for bettors to become better bettors this football season, and this is more lifestyle changes than more so about what bets to look at or anything like that. I want you to roll through this list, and I got a couple comments and a couple additions because I think so much of this can help everybody become a better bettor.
Yeah, so let's start with phone a friend or text a friend, if you will. So as you make contacts and you get to know people, inevitably there's going to be situations like this morning. Fields gets carted off, winds up with a dislocated toe, and there's going to be bets you want to make associated with things like that, and you're too busy. You're taking your son to school, or you're going to work, or life interferes, or you're just driving. You pull over the side of the road, and you know what? You send a text to your trusted friend that has no life, that just bets 24/7. That's your ideal candidate, has an odd screen, has lots of outs, and you just say, hey, CFL game tonight. I want to play first half under 24.5-ish. I don't know what's going on. I'm too busy. Get me the best number for a nickel. Boom. And you send the text, and he basically executes your order like a stockbroker would. Those friends are invaluable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing that you can't just have a guy that doesn't shop and get you the best number and he's not available. But if you got a guy, and I'll use an example like the Crackman. Bill is a great friend. He's almost always available. And if I absolutely positively need to get a bet down and I'm too busy, he is there for me. And having multiple guys like that will help your bottom line so much.
Yeah, and I think the key there, at least for me, relating to this one, it is the 24/7 part. As much as that person is readily available, because I feel like I've got those multiple people in my life, but sometimes I can't be waiting for a text message to get back to me or something like that. I need confirmation this bet's going to get in. It's going to get in now before that number moves. So I think your point there of having someone that almost know is always available to do this is the biggest thing.
As opposed to texting four friends that are kind of flaky, and sometimes you bagel, and sometimes hey, they come back, you ask for a nickel, and you wind up with hey, I got you a dime, and now you're normally betting 800 a game, and you got 3,000 on some CFL prop.
Exactly that. By the way, I know Steve, you and I have talked about it. I don't want to get any past posting fines, but Winnipeg for me this week. I laid the 3 yesterday. It's out to 5.
There'll be a $60 fine unless you released it on this very show on A&G, and then all fines, according to Will Hill, are always rescinded. This is very important. I will say this. People get mad at me. I love in-pocket plays for people when they've given it out earlier, all right? So on the newsletter or on air, and they say, hey, I played Utah -3, and I gave it out. And now, by the way, that steam this morning, Utah is at UCLA. That lines up to -6.5, so the winds of change are upon us in college football. But don't tell me you played Utah -3 when I didn't hear about it, and now I'm just hearing about it. It's -6.5. By the way, the Bear Felica says, boy, I'm starting to get interested in UCLA +7 on that game.
Okay,
so.
All right. There you go. Okay, so number 2, this applies to the great Chris Felica. Set up a group text with sharp friends to share info. It's a little bit like the first one, but also different.
Yeah, this, and by the way, so I do this, Gilly and I, the Bear Felica, Will Hill, and Todd Wishnev, all right? And so ideally, all we're doing is saying stuff like, Will, come on, hey, weather report. It looks like it's going to start raining 4th inning in the Cardinal game. Let's play the starting pitchers under for their outs, for their Ks, because if there's a long rain delay, they're only going to go 3.5 innings.
Right.
Information like that, and everybody shares. And like a little reminder, hey, the Diamondbacks have the lead, but they got no bullpen. It's time to go bet against them. Their starters going out. Just that can be so invaluable. You're watching the game. Hey, team's going into 20-mile-an-hour wind. It's the end of the first quarter. The wind just switched, so now you want to bet on the other guys for the first half line. You're going to make so much money if you can get the right guys and you get them focused. You don't want them sending, I can't believe he fumbled on the goal line.
Right, yeah.
And I'm telling these, and all the time, I make stupid texts, but Todd will put a text, a very good text, but it's non-related to sports betting. And if he does it twice, I sometimes will go, too much clutter. All right. And he's like, world events are not clutter, Stevie. They're very important. So, but ideally you want to just be a betting geek, and everything's related to getting the better of the sports books.
No, I love that one. There are multiple of those group texts that I have set up myself. I've talked about it on the show all the time, but the Hardwood Handicappers group text, it still keeps going. Myself, Zach Cohen, JVT, which is so big for NBA when you're getting injury information in the morning. Boom, share that post right away. Lets everybody know. Maybe you can get in on a side.
Casino promotions, like we went over to the M. M was having a promotion, and so boom, we're sharing information about how to take advantage of it, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other one. So one of the other ones I do, just kind of ducktailing off this, is I share a Circa Millions entry with a friend, right? And it's good for a couple reasons, Steve, because from the gambling side of it, and it's a friend who lives out of state, okay? We get to exchange thoughts on basically the NFL card for the weekend, right? Even if we haven't settled on all our bets yet, maybe if we've made a few, you get to share all those thoughts. But then also just the friendship side of it, like, I'm 38 years old. You don't catch up with some of the people you've known for 20 years very often, but when you get to talk to someone, catch up with them every single week because you have to for the contest, it's been awesome, and I love doing that with guys.
And I do this. I've got a one-on-one with Brad Feinberg, and he's a really like sharp bettor, but more importantly, he's a great guy. So I interact with him all the time, and I'm always like, so who do we like today? And then I'll find out what's going on with his life, and where he's a jet setter. So sometimes he's in Miami, sometimes he's traveling with his daughter, sometimes with his fiance. So it's awesome. I stay in touch with him as a friend, but 90% of it is what are we betting?
Right?
Today?
Yeah, exactly. What are we betting? Okay, number 3, and I think this is a real important one. Make sure you have outs and the right outs. What do you mean here, Steve?
Yeah, so you hear that all the time. Make sure you've got multiple locations, and you know what? But the problem is, like, if your locations are like Bookmaker and Westgate and Circa, a lot of times they're all going to have the same number. So you want to be able to expand and really try to have like a Profit X access to a betting exchange where you're not laying minus 110. You're laying minus 103. By the way, all these advertisements, you got to have me write the copy. Like, save 10 to 20%, on what it's costing. No, save 70 to 80%.
That's right.
Instead of laying like minus 110, you're not laying. It's not costing you 110. It's costing you $10 in vig, and now it's costing you $3. That's saving you 70% or $2. So absolutely, the most important thing about these reduced vig places that I really want to emphasize. If there was a blackjack game that offered like early surrender, or blackjack pays 9 to 5 instead of 3 to 2, or the dealer stands on soft 17, all these rules changes like soft 17, it's like worth 0.2%.
Yeah.
We'll have to split 0.2%.
We'd freak out though.
People if they got all those rules would fly to Australia to play a game when the cumulative effect is like 0.8%. So now think about this. If you're offered minus 108, like Westgate has minus 108 pricing on some things,
yeah,
that is like the cumulative effect is like the house edge is 4.5%. You're shaving off 0.9% if you're just blindly betting. So that's like the same as the world's greatest blackjack game. And yet the typical bettor, whether they're laying 108 or minus 110 or minus 112, like, it's no big deal at all. It's an enormous deal. And you know why? Because if you're laying minus 107, Kelly, and you're hitting 52%, you are going to grow your bankroll exponentially. And if you're laying minus 110, you're going to go bankrupt. That's the difference.
Yeah, no, I think that is great, and credit to some of these shops that have been doing it. South Point, Westgate, right? You do the lower juice on some of the
March
sides.
Madness minus 105 at the South Point every year.
Yeah,
yes.
well, I mean, I think Westgate pretty consistently has been doing NFL and NBA now the past season or two. And look, if I'm shopping lines quick and I can look across my board and say, hey, the point spread's the same everywhere. I know minus 108's over there. I'm going right there every time. I think it's genius marketing with also good bookmaking, right? So wanted to And just be careful. I just wrote down a note. Steve Fezzik, willing to write copy for our promos going forward. You offer up things like that around here at VSiN, Steve. You never know what's going to happen next week.
Hey, I promise everybody, they're going to get a $20 or less meal, like at 5 different places tomorrow.
That's right. Coming up tomorrow. Tune in. Coming up tomorrow. Okay, thoughts real quick. We got to go to break here. Thoughts on, we've talked about the sports trades of the world and everything, how great they are. Thoughts real quick on kind of Kalshi and Polymarket and stuff like that and their influence on some of this stuff.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're still figuring out as they go. Like one thing Kalshi has to do is like on their pricing, like on a long shot, golf, for instance, it's
Yeah.
either 1% or 2%. And I've spoken to them about this. They got to be able to price it like 1.2% because like it's 50
Get
to 1 or
truer
100 to 1.
odds. Right.
It's too big of a disparity.
Yeah, it's a big difference.